To watch your child change right in front of you, seemingly out of nowhere, to see behaviors you don't understand and you cannot put words to. Regression, headbanging, silence where once there were words and they could communicate. It can be terribly scary and confusing. I've seen families drowning in this fear when someone like RFK comes along offering a reason by September. It's really tempting to listen. But I'm here to tell you it is not vaccines, it's not chemicals, it's not 5G, it is written in your DNA. There's a spectrum. Much of the autistic community prefers to term it as autism spectrum condition.
But you might be more familiar with autism spectrum disorder, as it says in the DSM-5, persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts. The diagnostic criteria also includes restricted and repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities.
I've worked with high support needs autistic people, so what would be termed level 3, representation of co-occurring conditions. Also a mum of 3, raising neurodivergent kids, including one with self-injurious behaviours. I've lived both sides. First, as an undiagnosed autistic woman, I knew that my child's brain was different. From about 2.5 to 3 years old, that child had high language skills like me. Are not non-speaking. Some have high IQ. Autism isn't defined by intellectual disability or language delay. You can be diagnosed as having the autism spectrum condition, which means your brain was born that way. There's no way to separate who you are from being autistic. You would have to separate the brain. Every single thing that you do if you're autistic is through an autistic lens. The way we interpret the world, the way we communicate, it is all autistic. It isn't, I'm this person and I also have this bag of autism. It is an autistic brain neurotype. How we experience social interaction, communication, sensory input, and routines varies across the board. If you've met an autistic person, you've met one autistic person. No two are the same. Autistic people also have co-occurring conditions like intellectual disability, global developmental delay, and are non-speaking. That's not severe autism. That is autism with cognitive delay, or autism with speech delay, or autism with epilepsy, or whatever other co-occurring conditions can exist within autism. It is not low functioning and high functioning. It is a spectrum, not a line. It's not linear. You have level 1, level 2, level 3, which represents the level of support needs in your daily life. Feeling confused and grieving this tragic loss of their child's ability or the expectation that they once had. Level 3, it means more support is needed in daily life. That support is often lacking. Parents can work better to understand, accept, and support their autistic children. We don't all communicate in the same way. When we stim, we are communicating a need, a want, a feeling. When we bang our head, when we cannot keep still, we leave the room or elope, we are communicating. If the parent can accept the varied style of communication within their child, they will start to see development in cognitive, in verbal areas, and less injurious behaviors. They will be better supporting their child, understand the child's presentation before they get all heartbroken. It is unfortunate that a lot of autistic people, like autistic people, have high support needs and struggle to access the quality of life that a lot of other people do in this world. Because this world is built for neurotypical people, people like RFK feed into a very current and existing type of ableism. Autistic regression is real. There are environmental components that are being studied that make symptoms worse in some areas. I feel so deeply called to say what needs to be said. It's harmful. It's spreading eugenic ideology. It is strengthening ableism, and it's feeding into the fear that every parent has of whether they're doing enough, whether their child is going to have the quality of life that they deserve. which we all want for our children. Self-injurious behaviors are a response. They're a response to pain, sensory overwhelm, and communication frustration. If you're seeing regression, there are reasons. It is not your fault. Behind every fear is a hard truth. I get it, because we all have them. Sometimes the child who's ruining your life, I know it's confronting, is showing you that they're different, not broken. They're showing you that they need something different. We're discovering more and more that many of the mums saying, autism ruined my life, a lot of them are likely undiagnosed autistic women themselves. Don't even get me started on the fact that healthcare in many ways have let us females down. Atypical representation of autism across the spectrum are not white little boys, but are people of color and people with co-occurring conditions. These women are likely struggling without support in a world that wasn't built for them or their child. And that comes with a whole new layer of confusion. RFK doesn't care about your child. He cares about selling fear. Fear is profitable. It leaves you stuck, frozen, hating autism instead of fighting for the support that your child deserves. It is a genetic component. Environmental factors are being researched, but they include parenting styles, understanding and acceptance, nutrition, and all of those other things that all human beings are being impacted by right now in the world. Instead of hating on autism, let's fight for the support that you and your child deserves. Autistic people, whether they need 24/7 care or live independently, need one thing above all: be understood, accepted, and supported for who they are in this world, not punished for who they are not. I don't speak for all autistic people. No two autistic people are the same. It is a spectrum, and we can't forget this. There's no basis for the claims that RFK is making. Studies have proven language, cognitive growth, emotional regulation, and that it all can improve. And you can actually prevent regression. There is a stressful event. There's a need that isn't being understood. And there's a barrier in communication. Now, you can be very articulate and you can have great language skills and you can still struggle to communicate as an autistic person. So whether you're verbal or non-verbal, we communicate differently. There are autistic people who do not speak and have no cognitive delay and have high IQs, understanding every word that's being said and are thinking very, very deeply into what their environment is telling them. Imagine that. Fully aware, deeply intelligent. Imagine you could not speak, but you knew exactly what it was that was being said and what was going on around you, and you could see all the patterns. Society assumes silence equals nothing inside. We don't acknowledge the invisible. That's the reality for many autistic individuals. I am diagnosed autistic with no verbal delay and no cognitive delay. I've even had moments where I could not speak because my brain had shut down from overwhelm and I have been institutionalized. That's autism too. I am high masking. Some autistic people are low masking. Every day can be different. When we talk about autism, most people are unknowingly describing autism plus other disabilities, genetic syndromes, connective tissue disorders. There are mental health conditions that co-occur with the autistic experience in this neurotypical world. There are misdiagnoses, especially among females, bipolar, borderline, anxiety, depression, and the terribly alarming thing is that many autistic people already don't want to be here. And when we spread misinformation, we are actually going to risk increasing those percentages, those alarming rates. So when we confuse co-occurring conditions with autism, we are spreading misinformation. And many of these environmental factors you speak of have been proven to affect every human brain, not just autistic ones, but they don't cause autism. Autistic brains are wired differently from birth. The ridiculous claim that RFK made that he doesn't know of older autistic people. There are 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds within the autistic community, very much alive and present. Yes, you can be a parent who is trying their best. You might have a 3-year-old child who is ticking all the boxes, neurotypically speaking, and then out of nowhere start to realize something's different. Doesn't mean that the child is suddenly autistic. Parents notice signs of autism usually around the same time or age as vaccinations. That's when social communication milestones naturally emerge. So you're already at that point in the child's natural development, you're going to see symptoms or signs that something's different. Just because two things happen together doesn't mean one caused the other. If I eat breakfast and then it rains, did my cereal cause the weather? No, that's correlation, not causation. This entire vaccine autism myth came from one discredited study by Andrew Wakefield in 1998. Not only was it proven fraudulent, but Wakefield lost his medical license because of the study. Since then, over 25 large-scale studies involving millions of children have debunked any link between vaccines and autism. And in some countries, vaccination rates fell. Autism diagnoses didn't drop with the vaccination rate, they rose. Why? Because we got better at recognizing autism in boys, girls, people of color, people with other co-occurring conditions. We got better at understanding what it looks like as a spectrum. These people were previously overlooked. It is not an epidemic. It is not a disease. Your child suddenly being completely different and regressing. Yes, this happens in autism from a lack of support, from high distress and stressful events, and a lack of understanding. Regression in development also happens in other conditions like Rett syndrome, mitochondrial disorders, but it's not a sign that something has stolen your child. So this caca that having a neurotype, a different type of brain, is ruining lives, it is ableism. Lack of support, high stress, and trauma can worsen autistic traits because society is failing your child. Autism is highly heritable. Look back through your family tree, understand what masking is, and look into misdiagnosis over the years. It's all there. Parents, like me, like you, are suffering because they have been left without the right tools, support, and understanding from the people in the most power. It's not going to look like you had hoped. Your child is different. You might be different. Feelings aren't facts, guys, because the numbers are now 1 in 36. We are in a time where knowledge about autism has expanded. We know more. That's why there are more getting diagnosed. These children aren't damaged, they are disabled. And let's ask ourselves why. It is because they are living in a world that doesn't accept or understand them. You've got people like RFK in front of millions and making speeches in positions of power, and he knows nothing about it. I want you to look into history, into the developments of humankind, and I want you to ask yourself, how many of these people would meet the diagnostic criteria for autism today? Where would we be if we didn't have those advancements, if we didn't have those different types of brains? Do we want to understand and accept all brains are not the same? Do we need less autistic people, or do we need less people who are in power, encouraging society to use their anger, confusion, and their fear against them? Twin studies have shown 70 to 90% heritability. Autism is genetic. Get informed. You deserve support. I know it can be scary, but your child is capable of great things. Whether they're high support needs, low support, your child has a place in this world and they deserve to have a life. And if that parenting journey and that life isn't what you expected it to be, I hope that you can heal. And I hope that you find support. People with disabilities still deserve to be here.